We will be doing a PowerPoint presentation about how to make battle fairy wings for safe amp guard reactions. Thank you for joining us. We're just about to get started. So, I know for a fact that you guys can all see me, but all I'm looking at is the PowerPoint presentation. So, here's hoping it works. But I do have my phone set up so I can read any of your messages. So if you have any questions, or if I'm going too quickly, please don't hesitate to shut me up or tell me to slow down, because I know for a fact that I go a little fast. So first of all, I want to thank you for coming. This class has been a project in the making for some time now, and I'm very pleased to be able to present it at Adventure Academy, despite being online instead of in person. Um, so the reason I got into these battle wings in the first place was fairy. My very first pair of fairy wings that started this collection was the pair that is now worn by Autumn of Valhalla. Got this pair of green silk wings that goes with an entire outfit. Now I outgrew that outfit, but it fit her really well, so she now has it. So she has the original. And from there, it's just kind of evolved from fairy to feathers to whatever I need, whether it be for myself or be for just loner gear, loner monster, which I will also use. So here's hoping it goes well. You enjoy and you learn something. Let's begin. Supplies. Now, unfortunately, I meant to add the gauge wire. Um, Start off with coat hangers. Now, these are metal ones, and they're the older fashioned. Um, I got a cabinet full of them because my family's donated them to cause. I'm not exactly sure what gauge they are, but if you can find them in thrift stores, they're really easy to spot. And it doesn't matter color, obviously. Just make sure that they're fairly thick. You want wire cutters and pliers, especially if you're not strong enough to bend this thick wire by hand. Some people are, some aren't. I'm not one of them. You definitely want hockey tape in your color preference because these will be, for the most part, exposed edges, so you want it to look really pretty for your design, whatever. And tape scissors. Do not cut your hockey tape. You want a small, tiny scrap of puzzle mat, about the size of a pea, very small. Rule of thumb, your thumbnail. That's pretty, I know it's small, but it'll be very useful. You definitely want your wings fabric of choice. Um, if you want to work with broadcloth, or you want to work with silk or organza, whatever comes up, whatever you find, you're definitely going to want to have that. Um, I'll get into this point later, a little bit later. You definitely want your pattern wings, the wings pattern drawn out ahead of time as well. I tell people that my wings only took me 2 days, but that's because it took me an extra day and a half or something to prep all the stuff ahead of time. So if you draw your wings out on paper ahead of time, that'll save you some trouble later. You definitely want fabric scissors, hand sewing needles and thread, or a sewing machine if you happen to have one, depending on what you're doing. Project. See no questions, so I'm just going to move on. Prep. Here's your prep that I mentioned, the day and a half prep. You definitely want the wings design on newspaper or tracing paper. Since these hang off the top edge of the wings, you definitely want them as one solid piece. You can do more than one, like the bottom right one there. But that one is a little trickier, and it will flop because it's being hung straight off a wire. So one pieces are the most easy to get to use. So keep it simple, silly, of course. Now these are just some examples that you can use just whenever you're looking up images for ideas. You can type in the search fairy wings clip art. That's your best bet to find good designs like these ones. I got these ones just off the internet using that same search. So these are the good ones to work with because all you need is an outline of what you're working with. Okay, no yellings, no questions. I'm gonna move on. Here's your step one. You're going to behead and bend. Basically, you're going to take off the head of the coat hanger. You can toss these, but believe it or not, I found these are really great for wrapping scarves on and then hanging them in your coat in your closet. So you may find it useful, may not. And then you're going to take these wires and you're going to bend them all the way straight. That's weird. Okay, we're just going to go with that then because apparently people are having trouble with this. So I'm going to go back and let them see the supplies real quick. There's your list of supplies again. And then the prep for the wings design. Apparently the computer doesn't like, Discord doesn't like it when I change slides. So we're here at the V head. So yeah, we're taking the heads off. Hi cat. Taking the heads off and straightening out the wire so it's perfectly, well, relatively one line. Tape and safe. So this is where you take your two lengths and you wrap them spirally in the tape of your choice. And here on the tip of each one, the very tip of each one, you want to add that little tiny thing of foam to the tip and then wrap it really well. This way, if someone bumps into it, they won't get stabbed by the wire underneath. This is one of the main safety features of this design, was this. Okay. You should only have to do one layer of tape for the entire length. If you want to do two, be my guest. Yeah. No questions or problems, so moving on. So now we're going to take up both the wires and bend them into L shapes. and then we're gonna overlap them like this, and then tape up that middle section, nice and neat. Then you end up with what looks like a cup symbol, cup. And yes, this becomes the pocket area. Make it cross pieces, make it square. Now I added on this one, I added extra because of how I did it, how I bent it. You don't have to if you don't want. So basically you're making this box right, a piece across. And this part can be a little finicky because the pieces are flying all over the place and you might get poked. But again, safety is key. But this one you can wrap a little extra at the bottom for security, and then the cross piece at the top. Make sure you get the corner really nice and good. Using the papers, the wings paper pattern, you can bend them into their curves. Bend them into the curves that match the pattern. This is the prep for the wings curve. Or, in the case if you're going extreme, you can always go curve all the way down. You can take it from the top and curve all the way down. And this makes the rigid edge for the whole thing, not just for up. That's another example of the pocket as well. I'll get into that a little later as well. Here's where you get to the wing. We're going to set the wire bits aside for a little bit, and we're going to focus on the wings themselves. Now, depending on what you want for these, do you want them made out of silk? Do you want them made out of fabric? Each different kind of material is going to require different process to make them work. Now, in the case of the silk wings that Autumn has, those ones I had to run them across the entire edges on a candle to burn all the edges all the way around so they don't fray. I personally hate fray stay. It smells terrible. That's just me. If you want to use fray stay on raw edges, be my guest. Maybe you're going for a tattered wing look. That's fine too. Or you want to just go with a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine, or you want to whip stitch them by hand. Have that. Some wings, however, are minimal. These ones are actually very small to begin with because I was planning to cover them with feathers. So it just depends on what you're doing with them. If you're going to cover them with feathers or another fabric, they don't have to be very big. But if you are doing full feathered, full wings, then yes. Now these ones, I actually did the full sewing around the entire edge, flipped it, and then top stitched it. And then I added this decorative stitching. I don't know if you can see that. It's got it on the picture there too. It's a silver embroidered from my sewing machine design. Best durability to water. Okay. Believe it or not, broadcloth. Hands down broadcloth. Silk tends to get really heavy, and then the pulling on the fabric can lead to stretch and even coming apart. So if your best bet, if you know you're in like a wet zone, your best bet is to go broadcloth. Yes, it's spelled both ways. 2 words or 1 word. Yes, that's what these are made out of, is broadcloth. It's a very thin material. This is actually 2 layers. This is actually 2 layers here that I did this on, just for because I want it thicker. But yeah, that's yeah. You just go to any Lens Mill fabric store and say I need some broadcloth, they can point you in the right direction. Usually it's like a very, very thin, it's almost like a bed sheet. There's another option you can go with. Bed sheets. Believe it or not, I use a lot of them. But just make sure you keep aware of what kind of broadsheet it is. If it's cotton, pre-wash it, please. If it's a dark color, if you're gonna buy it from the store and it's a dark color, please pre-wash. Otherwise, the color may drain out if it gets wet. And if you're using, like, say, like a white, like I did on here, color will run. But yes, I would recommend water for durability, or sorry, broadcloth for durability in water. Um, Organza and silks are good for more lighter weight because this one is actually quite heavy, but that's most of the wire. But organza and silks tend to flow more. They tend to flow more. Broadcloths are more heavy duty. They just hang. So that's another thing to look into for fabric. Besides the fabric. Okay. Yes. So here's where you attach the wings to the wire. Now in this case, what I did was I top stitched a little lower from the outer edge, and I split them. I split the edges and I wrapped them around and then did this really cool weave with some yarn that I had. But there's other different ways to attach them, like the fold over in this one. This one was done as a solid piece by the looks of it. I'm sorry, this was a very long time ago that I did this project, so please bear with me on this. This looks like what I did was I made the pieces in two halves. So the top edge, stuck it on, and then whip stitched the bottom edge. So a zigzag bottom edge. But again, that's because I knew it was gonna be small. It didn't have to look bad, or didn't have to look good because I was just gonna cover it with feathers anyway. But that's what I appear to have done on this. Again, more broadcloth, pretty easy, pretty cheap, and comes in lots of pretty colors. Um, so yes, um, or you can just have the wings there and then have a little extra on the top to fold over and then stitch along the outer edge. Or in the case of the silk ones, what I did was I had the two layers and I sewed it all along the top edge, similar to that one. I just sewed along the top edge with hand stitching and then fit it on over top of the wire and hung it there. And then just added some little tacks in the wire, along the wire, to hold it in place. And again, you can attach the wings. If the wings are really heavy and droopy, you can add a little tack along the bottom edge here. I did it here too, just to help keep it, because otherwise this would just go. We don't want that. We don't want it flying up and hitting you in the back of the head. Not helpful if you're doing 5 miles an hour. I don't know. If you're running down the field and you suddenly get whacked in the face with your wing, not a good idea. So here's where we talk about that pocket I mentioned earlier. Now the original set does have a pocket. This one has a pocket as well, like in the picture. Um, this is basically, I just took some square fabric and fitted it. I fit it onto the square pocket. These the wires right here, and there's the L shape we had earlier. And I just fit it on there. And then I inserted straps into the seams as I went. And that then attaches the wings, the straps to the wings. But also, you have the option of just doing what I did here, in which case, you just attach them straight to the wire. You can leave it blank. You don't have enough fabric. You only got enough for the wings. That's okay too. You could just attach the straps right to the cage. Cage if it's exposed. It's good if it's got a actual pocket. You just attach it straight to the cage. and away you go. Especially if that's really good if you're short on time. You're like, no, I can't be bothered, or it's like, I gotta go. So yeah, be honest, feathers. I have not worn this pair of wings in battle yet. I'll be honest. I love them. I made them. What did I make? Originally, I think I made them for the church service. I originally made them for indoors when my church needed an angel for something I don't remember now. It was so long ago. Um, but these feathers came from the dollar store. So if one falls off, I can usually just go pick up another package and replace them. So it's not like I went out and spent $100 on feathers. It's really easy to replace them. I probably still got a bag of scrap left over somewhere. And they're all very tough glued down with hot glue gun all over. Um, but no, I'm not worried about the feathers too much. Now I do have another set of wings with feathers. In fact, Icho wore these for a quest back in, oh god, I want to say TP, but I'm not sure. He actually wore these, so he'd have a better idea of how they turned out. Now these ones weren't as nice. Backside fabric was really good. But what I did was I added more black so that when he wears them, see this bit of black, not this. So that was another little trick I did too. I'm not worried about feathers. They fall off. I can just go to the dollar store and get more to replace. So no, not really too worried. They get wet, and they'll dry eventually. At least I hope. Um, no other questions, so let's move on. Yeah, see, this is the quick and dirty version that I came up with as well. This is literally one piece of wire. You can actually see the wire exposed here at the bottom. And it's literally cross, down, up, and loop. Now, I don't remember how I did these, because again, these were a very long time ago. But that's your quick and dirty version of this. If you're running short on time, you only have limited wire, you can go ahead and do this version. Now, I think I had to add a little extra just to make it reach, because it wasn't enough for just one wire. And clearly, I did not do the hockey tape wrap on this either, because the wire is exposed. I don't recommend this. I really hate these wings for that reason. Um, I don't even remember how long they took me, which means it must have been a very short period to make these. I made them for a griffin? Yes, a griffin costume. And I used all the really nasty, messed up feathers for it. But I still think it turned out pretty interesting, despite all that. It does have this the it's got a three-point harness here, I guess you could call it, instead of a 4-point. But it worked well for what I needed it, and it's just loner. Like I probably will never wear these myself. Um, that was back when I took pride in making stuff for loner gear. I'll be honest. Um, but it worked for what it needed, and it was only worn for a couple of hours for one day, and it hasn't been worn since. So that I know. But that's the quick and dirty version. Now I don't recommend if you're going balls to the walls, don't use that design. If you want to go all out fancy dancy, don't use that design. Go with the original. Um, I just wanted to represent that there was another way of doing these. Um, but I won't do that set ever again. That's a one-time question. So for the final wings, you want to try them on, make sure they fit comfortably, the straps are long enough. Then you want to adjust them. If you want to leave them flat, that's okay. like the original set was, or like the white feather set was. It's nice and flat. They'll spread out sideways. Now these ones I did with the little extra cage here so that they fit backwards. So you don't see them forward, like looking forward. This is the ones you want to wear. These are the ones I want, where they face more to the back, so that as I'm passing by someone, they can see them from the side. It's more about a profile than a silhouette. See here? So these ones, see, they go more to the back than they do the side. This was so that I could fit through doors better. So these were designed with a thought in mind of I'd like to fit through doors without having to bang into everything. Again, safety. Don't leave marks on the doors. So that's what the idea for these was. That's another thing. Make sure your straps are loose enough that you can get them on and off by yourself. You don't have a friend to help you. Yeah, have fun with this. If you want, you can do a zigzag with the top of the wings, the wires, and all that fun stuff. Just don't forget about metal fatigue. It's weird, but follow me on this one. You bend the wire too much, eventually it'll break. So try to find a good design you like and stick with it. Don't be moving them all the time, because otherwise you'll end up breaking the wire inside, and that's a really hard fix, especially if you don't know, like, to replace it, in order to fix it. Say I had a break here, I would have to undo all of this, and I'd have to take a section of wire and fit it on the break, like almost like a sling, or not sling, sorry, what's the thing they put on? A splint, a splint, and then wrap that around, and probably one on either side, and that just thickens the wire even more. So just be aware that you don't want to move them too much. So pick a design you like and stick with it as best you can. And that's pretty much everything. So if anyone has any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Uh, Go ahead and punch it in there. And I want to thank you all for coming and for watching and letting me talk my lungs out on this topic that I have developed over some years, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning new things. Um, these wings belong to my newest fairy, by the way. One that I have not been able to wear upfield yet. These were a COVID project. So again, I'm still learning myself. Yeah. Um, Believe it or not, I have another set of wings. If you'll indulge me a moment, I can pull them out. Because believe it or not, I store them under my bed. I have another set of wings that I use for strictly NPC or sitting in court. They're huge, and they're made out of foam board. These are actually made out of foam board. They're huge. Now, these I will not use in battle, obviously. Um, I use them in non-combat NPC for sure. 'Cause I've done it before, and and I will sit wearing them off to the side somewhere in a chair by myself because they are really, really big. Even on me, they're huge, which is good because I'm myself. I have two pairs. I have this pink pair and I have a blue pair. Um, my phone. Um, Now these ones definitely will not use in battle. They're too big. They're too wieldy. The wind just whips them like crazy. I have run in them, so I know all this, but I won't battle in them. Um, but they are fun because then you get to do different designs, paints and colors and whatever have you. Foam board can be bought at the dollar store. Um, This is just one piece, one like this size. This is how big a piece square. They're about I think a buck and a half or something for one. I believe the blue set I did a 4-layer. This is only the one single layer for two. Oh, there they are. Hang on. There we are. Here's the blue set that I did. This is the blue set. Now, a little smaller, yes, but these ones I doubled up. You can tell I doubled up the thickness. So I did 4 pieces and then sandwiched them together. So I painted them each side all together. And then I doubled them up. So again, this is the other set. Oops, there we go. That I will not battle in, that I will use for pictures. I'll use for demos, for doing demonstrations for the public. I'll wear these while I'm walking around. For non-combat NPCs, there's another. But again, will not use these for battle. Not just because they blow in the wind and they fly all over the place, but I don't want someone to crash into me and wreck them because these took 3 days without prep to make. So no, I am not going to wreck these in a battle game. Not worth it. Unless I plan to throw them out anyway. No, no, I won't. Yeah, the blue was just, I literally had them hanging on a clothesline and the blue was just gone. And I'm like, that looks good. I like it. Let's go with that. So I did. So literally 4 of these in a clothesline in my bedroom while I'm watching fairy movies for inspiration. I don't know. But these were a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. They're a lot of fun. That's why I don't use them in back. I want to take good care of them. And I want them for a very long period of time. And if you notice, the separator, that's what this little piece in the middle here is called. The separator is actually the same fabric and same design as the dress that goes with it. So I made these specifically for dress. Unfortunately, a dress that no longer fits me. Story of my life. But that's okay. It fits another dress. So yeah, exactly. Hey, too. I don't know if you remember these. Oh, hey, look at that. I just lost a feather. I don't care. I can glue it back on later. I don't know if you remember these. These are the wings Icho wore when he played Griffin at a quest in Twilight Peak, I want to say. I want to say back in 1970. Sorry, my brain's fried right now. 2017. I'm sorry. But yeah. So again, these wings are a lot of fun. I do have plans for another pair of white feathers. They're going to be huge, like big, massive. They won't be battle. I'm still going to make them in the same way I did the battle, but they will not be for battle because they'll be too big for battle. So I'm going like big feathers on this one. But it should be fun anyway. I'm going the battle version because it's a lot easier to make than it is these monstrosities. And these ones are a lot safer. So that's my hope someday to be able to make them. And any others that might pop up. And of course, you can always do these in like a dragon form if you want to add more prongs along the way. And then make them so they look like bat wings and then attach them on the inside. Cool. All for you. That's another idea that comes to mind. You know? But yeah, that's the end of my plot. I was gonna say play, but the end of my class. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the questions that you had. I hope that this was educational for you. That you learned something today, whether it be that I don't care about feathers, or that my cat's adorable. But yeah, thanks for coming, and I hope to run more classes in the future. And really hope we get back on the field soon, because I'm bored. So take care, everyone. Nothing else. And thanks for everything. Bye.